Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Roger Wallace, and you're listening to Onward Radio. Today's topic is grass is not orange, and we don't need to argue about it. Next on this episode of Onward Radio. All right. Thank y'all so much for being here. Glad y'all stuck around with me for another one of these. Today's topic is grass is not orange, and we don't need to argue about it. So what does that mean? In its most basic sense, it just means there are things that are true and there are things that are not true. And just because somebody offers some other explanation or alternative fact or some other side doesn't mean it's a valid other side. You can't just bring up something else and make it equivalent. So say, if I say, suppose I say grass is green, and then somebody else comes along and says, no, grass is orange. Those are not two equal and opposite positions of a topic. The topic of the color of grass. Grass is green, and you can, shades and yes, all that stuff. You can make all kinds of nitpicky arguments about that, but as a blanket statement, as a general rule of thumb, grass is green, grass is not orange. Somebody comes along and says grass is orange, that is just plain not true. We don't need to debate it. We don't need to argue about it. There's no need to have a 6-person panel discussion on CNN about it. We don't need to give credence to things that are bullshit. I guess that's the most basic way to say it. And why am I bringing this up? Why is this a problem? Why am I talking about this? In this era, the COVID era, we're arguing about things that are bullshit. We're arguing about things that are nonsense. It's not an argument to make that masks don't work. That's not an argument to make. It's not an argument to make. It's not even a valid argument to make that we need to rely on laissez-faire capitalism to get us through a pandemic. That's a nonsense argument. There's no country in the world who has dealt with this pandemic properly who has taken that approach to it, including us. We've taken that approach to it. We've taken basically a do-nothing approach to it. And we're the worst country in the world. We're the worst. We are not number one. We are not great. We are the worst country in the world about the coronavirus and COVID-19. We have the worst outbreak in the world. So what we are doing, what our dear leader is doing, simply is not working. Maybe you thought it was a good idea for a minute. Maybe you thought, you could bury your head in the sand and pretend it didn't exist. But guess what? It does exist, and it's real. And the people who know how to get through this are telling us exactly how to get through this. And we only have to listen to them to know what to do. So, it's been left up to us, and we see how well that works out. So what we end up doing, this is why, and you're going to hear me harping about this all the time on this podcast, that a president is so important, more important than we want to realize. And it's not just about legislative power or constitutional power, but a president sets the tone. And the tone that this president has set about COVID-19 has been, That's been the tone. So that's been the reaction across the country. That's how people have done it. It's about these confused messages about it's about personal freedom or it's about protecting yourself. And I'm not afraid, which has nothing to do with it at all. Whether you're afraid or not has nothing to do with it. And that's a narrative that should have been told from the top, from the very beginning, that wearing the masks and distancing aren't about protecting yourself. They're about protecting other people. They're about protecting everyone else, because you don't know if you have the coronavirus, and you don't know if you have the coronavirus because there isn't proper testing. And there isn't proper testing because Yahoo at the top hasn't done squat. That's what I'm talking about. So what happens is he sets the narrative, he sets the tone. The president sets the narrative of, should we do nothing or should we not do nothing? That's a bullshit argument. That's not the argument we need to be having is how much should we do? What's too much? And that's barely an argument. We've got half of people acting right now like you have a constitutional right to margaritas and haircuts, which you do not. There's never been a bigger civil rights violation in our country since slavery. Get the fuck out of here. That's it's so stupid it's not even offensive. Easy for me to say, white guy, I guess. But there have been no civil liberties damaged or encroached upon during this whole thing. There was a decision about it in the Supreme Court in 1905, Jacobson versus Massachusetts, that said you can do that. So that idea of civil liberties is a nonsense argument. So we shouldn't even be arguing about that. It's a decided thing. So what he's done is set this narrative of, let the states decide and maybe let localities decide, let the people decide. So it's been left up to us, and we see how well that works out. And so we end up with a 20-person panel on CNN split screen, and MSNBC and Fox and whoever else, and podcasts and talk shows and blogs and newspaper articles and website articles, everybody talking about how much should we not do, and whether or not this is really a problem, and what are these, these aren't questions. These aren't things that should be given credence as things to argue about. Of course we should be doing what it takes to take care of this. We have the examples in front of us, and of course we should be doing them. This is not a thing we should be arguing about. That's ridiculous. So the overarching point here is, if I can quote Patton Oswalt here, paraphrase, you don't have to honor everyone's opinion. You just don't. Not every opinion is a valid opinion, especially when they're not based on facts. If two people are talking about looking at the same set of facts and they're arguing about those facts, that's fine. And you can have valid opinions about that. But when I'm arguing grass is green and you're arguing grass is orange, or grass doesn't exist, or grass is fake news, and you say that orange grass is alternative facts, no, it's not alternative facts. It's bullshit. It's nonsense, and we shouldn't be arguing about it. Yes, you have your opinion, I have my opinion. That's fine, and nobody's going to put you in jail for your opinion, but that doesn't mean I don't have the right to say your opinion's bullshit, or that I'm being hypocritical if I just tell you you're wrong. I don't have to stand here and argue about whether grass is green or not. We can look at it and say that it is, and it's pointless to have a dumb argument about this. So this, I think, is a problem that we get into, is that we engage too much with nonsense and bullshit. You're not going to change a Trumper's mind. When you argue with them about nonsense, you're playing their game. You can't reason with a gaslighter. And that's all that's been done to us the last 4 to 10 years, is a nonstop gaslighting, and people telling you that up is down and down is up and real isn't real, and what you're seeing isn't really what you're seeing. But it is what you're seeing. You're not crazy. We're in the middle of a pandemic. 1,000 people die every day. 1,000 people die every day. We're up to 200,000 people dead now. And you're not crazy for thinking that's fucked up and not okay. And it's not okay to just shrug your shoulders and go, yeah, people die. I guess it's the next thing we have to be worried about being afraid of. No. You can just say no, and you can say, fuck that. I'm not doing it. I'm not engaging in your nonsense. It's okay for us to do that. In honor of fairness, what we feel like is fairness, we want to engage people and listen to their arguments and listen to their opinions, and that's fine. You can listen to whatever, listen to whatever. It's good to listen to things, but you don't engage. You don't give it credence. You don't listen to those things because you don't want them to be a part of public consciousness. So there are no such thing as alternative facts. There are just facts and things that are not facts. The thing that is a fact is grass is green. The thing that is not a fact is grass is orange. And when they try to tell you otherwise, it's okay to tell them they're full of shit. You can do it nicely. You can use other words besides that one. But you're not a bad person when you don't engage with nonsense and with lunacy, and especially when the nonsense and lunacy is so harmful right now to so many people, to all of us, to everybody listening to this. That kind of nonsense, that kind of grass is orange bullshit is literally getting people killed, whether it's from COVID or from violent policing or any number of things. People believing nonsense is keeping the people in power who hurt people. That's it. So I guess that's the basic bottom line, is that it's okay. It's okay to not engage with bullshit. You're fine. You're not crazy. You're not an asshole if you don't engage with nonsense. But some things are just intolerable. And falsehood is one of those things. Injustice is another one of those things. All the isms and all the phobias. It's okay to not tolerate those things. It's okay to not tolerate lies. It's okay to not tolerate bullshit. And you're okay for not tolerating it. So I guess that's all I have for right now. Thank you all again for tuning in here. I'll have another one of these up very soon. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Roger Wallace. This is Onward Radio.